Most of the hosing, wiring, everything is out of the engine compartment. I've got a few spots that I made notes on that need to be removed, modified, whatever, for the hoses and everything to fit just a little better. So I am going to knock those out. There's a couple here on the core support that I need to handle. And then I also need to finish welding up this inner fender. But other than that, the rest of this front end is coming off and moving next door. Everything else is going to go into our pile of parts, well labeled, packed, ready for their time to go back on the car. We stripped the car down almost completely. I've got to pull the steering column out, the gas pedal. It's pretty much ready to go onto the rotisserie. I've got to make a few brackets and stuff for it. I'm going to go ahead and just put a latch on the trunk. There's no reason to remove that as long as we've got it latched and it stays shut. The doors, I'm going to actually clean some of this E-coat off. And I'm going to put 3 little strips across them to the body and weld them together temporarily so that it can hold its shape and everything. There's a hair bit of flex between the front and the back. So we're going to box this in from this frame rail here all the way up to this seam. And that will tie this mid rail into the frame rail for the rear. Get rid of that little bit of flex that we have left. And we'll kind of mimic what we've got going on up front there. So we'll get that done. If you look down at the bottom, there's a couple of holes, or a big hole in that section. So we'll repair that before we put that gusset in. And then that entire pinch weld here, we're going to cut off and solid weld these pieces together, and it'll just kind of give it a cleaner look from the side when you go to look up underneath the car. That'll smooth all that out. A lot of work has been done to the underside of this car. It is hardly recognizable as a 63 Nova, or any other car for that matter. We've got the torque boxes done on the front there. The tunnel is done and smoothed out. I built extra torque boxes here in the rear. We cut the pinch weld off along each side and smoothed all of that out, and then drilled like 5 drain holes on the bottom side here so that we can get the KBS chassis coater up in there. And then we've got plugs that'll pop in, those little plastic plugs that seal them back up. So that will be nice. Everything else back here was already done and primered when we did the DSE suspension kit. So all those brackets have been installed, ground down, smoothed out, and seam sealed. So we pretty much just need to do the rest of the seam sealing here in between those two frame rails all the way up to the front. Working late because for 3 hours we were finding more and more and more mouse house that was somehow hidden in this thing, which is unbelievable being that we've cut so many things apart and put so many things back together. It's just ridiculous that somehow they were hiding. But 3 hours we spent blowing all the cavities and getting everything cleaned up underneath here, getting it seam sealed and ready to go. Cannot wait to see this thing all in one color under here. Undercoat is on. We're gonna get this thing flipped upright, lower it down a little bit, get her pulled up out of the booth and out here for body work, get it on some jack stands. Got a little bit of messing around I'd like to do, a little fiddling to get the doors exactly where I want them, and then we'll start slowly putting the body of this thing back together one layer at a time. Front subframe went on, everything went beautifully, lined up perfect, no freaking issues there. The body work is done on the cowl and the firewall, so we can start to put the front clip on, get that lined up for its last time to get the body work done, and everything smoothed out on that. The driver door is done. Got good gaps on that whole thing. Did a little bit of freaking changing around with the edge of the cowl there, and a little addition to the sheet metal on the door, just so we had good gaps there. Had to add a little sheet metal to the edge of the door on this side, but everything is lining up beautiful now. A hair of adjustment on the rear trunk, but we've got that centered, lined up. That's actually got the latch and everything in it, so that's beautiful. And then this door is open right now and kind of ugly with a little bit of body work on it, but that's all done and lined up. So next on the agenda is to get the rest of this front clip on. It has been a fight.
It has not been a fight. It has sucked.
Yeah, okay. Yesterday it sucked. Today it's just a fight. Catch me in an hour.
We had a hard day yesterday.
But we did manage to get both front fenders aligned exactly how we want it, got the gap how we wanted it, meeting up to the doors. And now we're moving on to the next issue, and it's just kind of stuff that happens when you're trying to get every one of the gaps working perfect. One thing moves, causes the next thing to move, causes the next thing to move, and by the time you get to the end, something thinks it's from a different car. So, on top of that, we're dealing with aftermarket frickin' hinges, which drives me frickin' absolutely nuts. I've got all kinds of things to say about that probably shouldn't be said on video, but they sure do look good. 27 hours later, granted, a lot of that was sleeping, pondering, and dinner, but I was hoping to have all of this done by about 12:30, 1 o'clock yesterday. It is now a little after 3 the following day. But it is time to celebrate, being that the gaps are perfect. The back end of the hood is down and in line. Everything is as good as we are going to get it in metal right now. All right, well, Amy gets the sanding and body work done on the dash. She can't hear us right now, so you can say whatever you want. Ooh, that was rude. I am going to deal with, hopefully, the last headache. Knock on, there's wood under there. But somehow the spot on this quarter panel is just a frickin' mess. So I am going to cut it out, replace it with a new piece of sheet metal, get that slowly tacked in. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little trim holes to deal with on the trunk. So wish me luck. Alright, we stayed a little late yesterday. Got the car disassembled up onto the rotisserie. I'm just finishing up the last couple little pieces of fab work. We had a couple little modifications we had to make here where the hood hinges go. So that one's welded up. This one I still got to do some cleanup and get that welded together so that they match. We'll do a little body work around that. Just need to pinhole check this firewall, and then this thing goes into the booth for primer. It is primer day. Not quite as exciting as paint day, but pretty freaking cool. Everything gets transformed. Today is all about perfection for that final coat of paint. So we're getting all these lines perfect, all the jams perfect, making sure there's no wobbles, dingers, dents, anything that we missed, because after this, it's sealer and paint. We officially have parts in every single room of this shop right now. But before we completely clean out the booth, we are going to get the rear end, motor, transmission, all of that completely cleaned, ready to go. Disassemble the serpentine drive setup on the motor and get all of that stuff painted black. This will be velvet black KBS. The accessories are all blacked out with KBS. A couple of grill pieces, trying to get one side of that done. The rear end is ready to go. That's going to go over to the clean side right now. And this beautiful thing is ready to go back over to the clean side and get put back together. It is Christmas time here at Cool Hand Customs. The tree is hung and decorated. And what do we do here at Cool Hand Customs? On Christmas, we come over here and we take an irreplaceable front grille and we completely make it unrecognizable.